Hey everyone, and welcome right back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're looking at a short but honestly profoundly impactful piece of text. It's one of those things that has the power to completely shift your philosophical paradigm. We're going to examine a concept that challenges literally everything we've been taught about how we process difficult emotions. I mean, think about it. We spend so much of our lives trying to curate our feelings, pushing away the bad and desperately clinging to the good. But the source material we're unpacking today asks us to do the exact opposite when things get tough.
Enjoy sadness. Just sit with those two words for a second. It's jarring, isn't it? It sounds completely backwards. Normally, if someone tells you to enjoy being sad, you'd think they were being sarcastic or maybe just a little bit morbid. Our brains are completely hardwired to see these two concepts, enjoyment and sadness, as polar opposites. And yet, this stark, provocative hook from our source text forces us to immediately question our default settings.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the author makes a really crucial distinction right off the bat, and we definitely need to clear up any misconceptions. We are absolutely not talking about seeking out misery here, or somehow inviting sadness into your life. The author explicitly states, when I say enjoy sadness, I do not mean I want you to have sadness in your life. Instead, the text redefines what it means to enjoy in this context. It's about changing our relationship to the sadness once it inevitably arrives uninvited. It's about experiencing its unique depth and the profound silence it brings, rather than instantly scrambling for the exits.
Section 1. The enemy within. The exhaustion of the fight.
So this brings us right to the core problem our text identifies. Before we can even begin to understand how to accept sadness, we have to look honestly at what we're currently doing instead. And the text makes this brilliant observation. We are habituated to see sadness as our enemy. I really want you to focus on that word habituated. It implies that treating sadness like a hostile invader isn't some permanent universal truth of the human condition. It's simply an ingrained reflex. It's a habit. We've been conditioned over time to immediately label this emotion as a threat. And what happens when you're faced with an enemy? You tense up and you go to war.
Let's break down the anatomy of this habit. First, we view the emotion as an enemy. Second, because it's an enemy, the text notes that we continuously fight with it. I want you to just think about the immense daily energy you waste battling your own emotional states. It's like shadowboxing yourself in the mirror all day long. It is utterly exhausting, and nobody wins. And the third point is the real tragedy here. Because we're so busy throwing punches at our own sadness, we completely miss the underlying feeling. We never actually feel the sadness. We only feel the exhaustion of fighting it.
Section 2. A new perspective. Ceasing the battle.
Now, what's really interesting about this text is how it offers us a clear escape route. It basically asks us to put down our weapons. Look at how our default defensive posture completely contrasts with the author's radical approach. We have the habit we just talked about, seeing sadness as an enemy, fighting continuously, rejecting it entirely. But the author proposes a total paradigm shift. Instead of an enemy, view it as just another emotion. Instead of fighting continuously, go deep into it. Instead of rigid rejection, relax. It's a complete shift from active resistance to observant acceptance.
The author strips away all those terrifying labels we've attached to sadness with this incredibly simple instruction. Just see it as another emotion. And it's so profound in its simplicity. By demoting sadness from this terrifying status of enemy to simply being one of many passing feelings, like hunger or tiredness or passing joy, we instantly rob it of its power to cause us panic. You don't fight hunger, you acknowledge it. The text is asking us to do the exact same thing with sadness.
Section 3. Embracing the deepest silence. The descent into the feeling.
So what actually happens when we stop fighting? Well, the text acts as a guide here, taking us on a journey inward, deep into the core of the emotion itself. When a wave of sadness strikes, the text lays out this chronological, almost meditative guide. Step 1, see it as another emotion. Step 2, stop fighting it. Just drop the armor. Step 3, once you aren't fighting, go inward and actively try to feel the depth of that sadness. And step 4, relax into the silence. Notice how the actions flow from the cognitive, like changing how you see it, to entirely physical and sensory. You're just feeling and relaxing.
And if you follow those steps, the text promises a very specific, totally beautiful reward. It tells us to feel the deepest silence sadness brings into your heart. Think about how chaotic anger or anxiety is. They're loud, right? Sadness, by contrast, when you truly surrender to it, brings this profound, heavy, internal quiet. It's a unique stillness that we almost never get to experience, mostly because we're making so much noise trying to chase it away.
Which brings us to a really fascinating concept presented in our source material: richness.
The text states that sadness has a richness no other feeling has. It's a texture. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a totally unique depth of human experience that is exclusive to this specific emotion. It's like listening to a piece of classical music. If you're too busy covering your ears because it's in a minor key, you completely miss those beautiful, rich cellos playing underneath. But here's the catch. This richness remains entirely locked away from us as long as we treat sadness as an enemy. We only discover this quiet depth when the fighting stops and we allow ourselves to just be sad.
Section 4. Wind through pine trees. The ultimate release.
So, we've reached the final phase of the explainer, where we transition fully from being a fighter against our own mind to an open observer of our own life. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate goal of the author's philosophy. Just listen to this beautiful, poetic visualization from the text. Allow sadness to come and go through you like wind blows through pine trees. A pine tree doesn't fight the wind. It doesn't desperately try to build a wall to stop it. It simply stands rooted, lets the wind rustle through its branches, and lets it pass. Because the wind always passes. When we stop fighting, emotional liberation is actually possible. Sadness just becomes weather moving through the landscape of your mind.
Let's pull all this together and summarize this incredible shift in reality. Why does this actually matter for you and your everyday mental peace? Well, because when you stop habituating sadness as an enemy, you discover a unique richness in your own human experience. That exhausting, continuous internal fighting, it finally ends. And most importantly, because you aren't trapping the emotion in a cage match anymore, the emotion naturally, inevitably, passes right through you.
Which leads us to our final thought for today. You now have the blueprint right from the text. The sadness is going to come again. That is just a guarantee in life. But the next time that wind blows, will you exhaust yourself building a wall, or will you stop fighting, relax into the depth, and simply listen to the pines? Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible perspective. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing.